people like him, immediate environment is clean, is in places not allocated or specified for the purpose. Apparently, Abdullahi's way may not be the answer. What has government done?
Working here again.
Understand? So we want the government to do something about
Our health.
You're watching Plus TV Africa's
TV station.
So we are starting to prepare for the handover. We are in the midst of a transition, and it's been officially in September, but the election is going to take place in June in New York. But the Nigerian government has taken this very seriously, and we are starting the transition process. And I'm delighted to be working with Nigerian diplomats. When I was
from the 100 billion facility with the Green Climate Fund. And most of the projects that have been approved for Nigeria are actually around the agricultural sector. If you look at the green bonds issuance, the first green bonds issuance, it targeted reforestation, which in itself is to improve the soil fertility as well as improved the forest cover of this country. Through that, you are taming or combating climate change because you are establishing additional sink that will curb these emissions of the greenhouse gases. Most of our rural folks are farmers, and therefore government is really looking at that area very practically.
Agriculture is expected to produce 60% more food between now and 2050, so you can see it's a big challenge. And so we felt that less than 10% of the global funding on climate or climate finance go to agriculture. So you can see so much is expected from agriculture to produce food between now and 2030 and between
agencies, particularly the military and the police, for whatever shortcomings that may have been witnessed in the election. Tubosun Akeju also gave his take.
You know, the dividends of democracy in Nigeria. So if 75 political parties, and they said more than this during their meeting, sincerely passing a vote of confidence, have they seen things that what we might not have is enough evidence to people?
This must take the blame for whatever shortcomings witnessed during the polls, as the entire process did not meet the yearnings of millions of Nigerians.
It is no longer news that the 2019 general election has come and gone, but not without the usual challenges that has characterized our electoral system over the years, which has brought some dark cloud over the conduct of the election as usual. We have started in earnest to x-ray the outcome of the election, and most Nigerians think the presidential and political parties.
This is a time we have a responsibility to our next generation, our generation and next generation. We need to see Africa transform, and the bed of that is a great Nigeria in West Africa. We are mindful of the fact that as individuals, agencies, organizations, institutions, groups, commissions, political parties, we have evaluated our performances in relation to our set goals and objectives before embarking on the journey. We must have identified our areas of strength, weaknesses, hopes, and must have also learned some bitter lessons in the electoral process.
The Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, is set to boost local government's financial autonomy. The agency yesterday banned banks, governors, financial institutions, public officers and other stakeholders from tampering with the statutory allocations of local government areas from the Federation account. It also said all erring individuals and companies will face international and local sanctions. Public affairs analyst Tubosun Akeju shared his view on this.
It's a very great and welcome development, you know, to be able to allow the local government have the financial autonomy that they're supposed to have. I don't think it's a completely new rule. I think it has always been in the Constitution. I think it's the implementation that has not really been done. My fear about this, again, is if the NFIU will be able to get the political will behind them to be able to fully execute this. because this particular development is going to take a substantial amount of the revenue that the state governors usually have access to. And it's going to, actually dilute some of their political powers. They're not going to sit pretty and just watch it happen. They're going to push, for it. So they're going to either push through a constitutional loophole, or they're going to use political willpower to make sure it's not executed. But whatever happens, I think that the people of Nigeria, we the citizens must become active citizens and make sure that things like this, are fully implemented, because these are the things that will help strengthen our democracy and ensure that the dividends of democracy is delivered to the people of Nigeria. So it's a very interesting story right there. So the EFCC is economic financial crime. Okay. So if it has not been, if you don't have a case to prosecute, then you really can't. It's one of the agencies that was very instrumental into explaining the suspension of the former CBN governor at some point. So they have very important roles to play when it comes to the implementation of the Constitution as regards financial procedures. So it's the political will. For example, the TSA has always been there. It was something that the World Bank had advised that Nigeria should do at some particular time. But there was no political will to fully implement it. There was a pilot of the idea, at some point, and then we left the former dispensation left it there until President Buhari, became the president and had the political will and power to say, we must, implement this. So this, like I said, is not a completely new rule, but are we going to have enough political will to get the government? Because there's a governors forum and they are quite formidable. If the governors forum come together, and they can put pressure on the president, as you already know, the Nigerian president is arguably the most constitutionally powerful president in the world. So they can put pressure on the president, and then we'll not have enough political will to see this through. So what's just going to happen is that we're just going to wake up one day and still know, and we'll find out that, oh, the state governors are still controlling it, and then nobody's making it. Because at the end of the day, the head of the NFIU was, appointed by the president.
Exactly.
So, but there's one thing we can do as active citizens, is to put pressure. No government wants to be unpopular. So if all of us as citizens of Nigeria have agreed that this is a very important thing that must be implemented, then we must not keep quiet until this is fully implemented, because that's one of the ways that we can get.
And it's time to take a quick break now. Stay tuned for more news when we return. South Africa's Ramaphosa faces obstacles to reform even with a decisive election victory for South Africa's ruling party this week. The country's president, Cyril Ramaphosa, could still struggle to push through the tough reforms needed to galvanize Africa's most developed economy, say analysts and some party insiders. The former union leader turned business tycoon has promised to introduce major economic reforms and extend a crackdown on corruption if his African National Congress ANC party is returned to power in Wednesday's national election. Ramaphosa's allies say a result close to 60% in this week's parliamentary vote, which some opinion polls suggest could be possible, would strengthen his hand to deliver on those pledges. But some analysts and ANC party insiders are skeptical that Ramaphosa would make much progress with reforms, even with a clear election victory. Condemned in the strongest for the past year, the United Nations has been working hard to prevent the situation in Gaza from escalating and to provide humanitarian relief to the population. UN Special Coordinator Nick
to improve the situation and provide relief for the people of Gaza by easing the closures and supporting the reconciliation process.
Up next is our business news.
Getting relaxed at a great hotel and spa, shopping in the best malls of this world, and touring the City of Gold. There is just one destination that can make you have all experiences in
of over 230 billion naira. He alleged the funds were undeclared at the Federation Allocation Accounts Committee and challenges the CBN to dispute his claims.
17. CBN confirmed to have sold forex to Bureau de Change BDCs at 4 different locations across the Federation, namely Lagos, Kano, Abuja, and Oka. The Apex Bank further confirmed that a total of $4.1 billion was sold to the BDCs in 2017, distributed as follows: Lagos, 2.3 billion, Kano, 833.5 million, Abuja, 621.5 million, Oka, 360.4 million. Despite the Apex Bank selling forex to put their lives at stake, to come out or go to police station or EFCC to file complaint against me.
Beneficially acquired during
to reach the second round of the Madrid Masters, while the women's defending champion Petra Kvitova brushed aside Kristina Mladenovic 6-3, 7-6 to move into the third round. Here are the highlights of their matches.
Well, thanks.
Kvitova on an 8-2 run. Wow, boom.
Oh, she's loving this. Mladenovic, huge opportunity.
Turn just too good, and Mladenovic can only swap.
Petra Kvitova will aim for a fourth Madrid Open crown after winning the tournaments in 2011, 2015, and 2018. And that's it on Sports Updates.
Thanks, Samson, for that sports outlook. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, do follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us again. I'm Tokumbo Taiwo.
This is Plus TV Africa. Welcome to One on One with Onyeka Akoma, CEO and founder of FarmCrowdy. How has the journey been?
It's been an interesting experience. I took the wrong route of using CVs. So people had 20 years, 50 years experience, and you felt like, oh, this guy is going to be a guru.
Did you know anything about farming prior to FarmCrowdy?
I was 12 years old when my mom made me raise a couple of hundreds of birds, and she said to me that I should raise them and I was going to sell them at Christmas, and then I'll give the money to Santa Claus and he'll buy me a gift.
Okay. In June 2018, FarmCrowdy lost some farmers. Are you still avoiding those places at the moment? We
don't have enough confidence to go back to Barking Ladi to go and start another farm there. I think it's someone else's duty to deal with the security situation. If these farmers are not able to go back to the farm to work for lack of security in that location, how will they put food on the table? It's all they know how to do.
And welcome to Tea Time, where we bring you all of the hottest and the latest stuff in showbiz. Sit back, relax, because you're in for a treat. I tell you, it's a fantastic lineup that we've got in store for you indeed. I'm Tokunbo Taiwo, and I'm here with Elsie Godwin, Ife Oshunkeye, and Ife Omai. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Good night's rest yesterday?
Not bad.
Yes, do you have a good night's rest? Okay, good. So today it's not business as usual, as we'll be discussing something totally different. Yes, but before we start, just a little preamble. Every year on the first Monday in May, the Metropolitan Museum of Arts, they basically host the Costume Institute Gala, which include its popular fashion exhibit. The Met Gala's dress code always honors the exhibit's theme. The 2019 theme is Camp Notes on Fashion, which is in reference to Susan Sontag's 1964 essay. Notes on Camp, which begins by defining the term as love of the unnatural or artifice and exaggeration, and also breaks the term camp into 58 bullet points, which we can't go into right now because of time. But Andrew Bolton, who is the current head curator of the Metropolitan Museum of Arts Costume Institute in New York City, says that whether it's pop camp, they're handling anything that is camp, whether it's pop camp, queer camp, high camp, or political camp, actually. Trump is a very camp figure, he says, and I think it's very timely. So what we're doing today is looking at the best and worst dressed at the recent Met Gala 2019. And I think we're starting with Eddie. Yes, we're starting with Eddie. Okay, let's see. Oh, Billy Porter. Thank you very much for reminding me. I thought we were starting with Eddie. All right, so Billy Porter.
Egyptian guy.
Yeah, the Egyptian guy. So, you know, we talked about, yeah, that's Eddie right there. Last time we talked about his dressing at the, what was it, the Oscars or the, oh, I can't remember, but the where he wore the suit and the
dress.
That I thought was a brilliant piece of outfit.
That I thought was I wish I could use the language. Was it the one wearing the shoe you loved? No, that was Spike Lee.
That one wore the suit at the top,
the one that won the
tuxedo,
then the dress. A ball
You don't
dress.
remember, Elsie?
You don't remember that guy?
Anyway,
that guy that looked funny and stupid.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so that dress I think was spectacular, but this is just on a different level altogether. But before I say, let's hear what you guys have to say on this one. I didn't like it personally. The face, the clothes. I'm telling you, it's absolutely ridiculous. But I like his dramatic entrance where 6 guys carried him. But at the end of the day, I don't know what your thoughts are. Okay, let's start with you, Elsie, and go around the table.
Me? I just want to drink tea on this one.
Okay, Ife?
Like the last dress, stupid.
Okay.
This one, stupid.
Ife?
I loved it.
You loved it?
Yes.
Really?
So for
what?
the theme, when
the
they
entrance,
said camp,
cool.
Because when I read the post, one of the things that were the headlines was that to pose exaggerately. And if you look at his background, he's an American performer.
Yeah.
I mean, he would cut himself short if he was just random, or if it was just like us.
Yeah.
So I love that he was bold. The only thing I can say that maybe I didn't like as much was the makeup. But even then, I still think that he's making a stance.
Okay.
Remember when we said that this is political camp, so political exaggeration, queer
Notes on fashion,
exaggeration,
basically.
fashion exaggeration. So anything basic or anything normal that wouldn't impress me for this theme.
Okay.
Talking about makeup, I hope we're talking about Lupita, right?
We're not, so let's move on to... Yes, you didn't like it, did you? Okay, guys, let's move on quickly because we've got a number of people that we need to talk about. We've got Celine Dion next. Let's load her up and see what she's wearing. I think I liked the outfit, something in shimmering gold. But a lot of people actually talked about her face and how old she looks, but I'm looking at the dress for Met Gala and I think...
They should allow her to age. Like,
sorry?
What is she supposed to look like?
Oh, please, let's not start that argument now. We're doing the clothes, you know, so let's just move on.
If you start the arguments,
I'm telling you,
you're the one that brought the age thing. So I'm like saying...
It's just like an add-on from what I'm saying.
I'm also just
adding on
onto that.
But you wanted an argument, didn't you?
Why? Are you inside my heart?
I love what she's wearing, though.
Yeah.
I also feel like another body will do justice to this beautiful
Oh my
piece.
goodness. Elsie, I thought I was being hard.
I mean, no. It's something I can wear, and I see the beauty. Even that's why I'm telling you, her body didn't do justice to the beauty.
Okay, all right, Elsie, thank you very much. Moving on to Ife Oshunkeye.
Well, Celine Dion, I don't care what people are saying about how she's aging. She's supposed to age. It's an age.
No, but
she's been through.
Okay,
She's been through health issues, and if you're talking about the body, you don't expect
her
the
age
body
as well
of a.
is
She's banging. Thank you. That was the word I was going to
Nigerian
use.
moms only need
She's
to just enter
banging. Like,
40 a little
look
bit
at what
and
she's
they're like,
wearing,
oh,
and
sorry,
she looks
There are
very.
so many hot Nigerian moms. Let's
And
not
she
go
looks
there,
very
like,
elegant.
Majority on
I mean, it doesn't mean everybody from her country looks like this too.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So
let's
isn't
not
that
shade
more
our
reason,
country.
Isn't that more reason why
How
it
old
should
is
be?
Celine Dion? Does anyone know?
I think she's in her 60s.
No, she's 51. That's why people are upset that she looks way older than, you know, what her current age.
So that's how you got them.
Yes, because they would never have agreed or said anything.
So you don't even 50.
Even 51, you don't think.
She looks good. I think she looks good body-wise, but facially, she
had
has
health issues.
We're not talking about health issues. There are so many women that have health issues that actually look younger than their age.
You sound like you're age shaming her a little bit.
I'm
no?
not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you sound like you're body shaming.
All right, guys, let's not get out of.
just sincere and
You've not said what you
It's
think
all right.
about.
Everyone has said what they.
Yes, you like? Yeah? Okay, so moving on, we've got coming up next, Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra. Let's have a look at what they wore to the Met Galas.
The couple goals.
Yes.
I mean, this is their first appearance as a couple, so that's very exciting.
No, they actually met at the Met Gala.
No,
and
married,
they were paired.
married, as in like
yeah.
an actual married couple. So I'm very excited about that. I love what they're wearing. I love what she did to her hair.
I know
Putting
you would
some
like
curls
that.
love that.
Okay, all right, Ife.
Yeah, I like the look. I like how simple and classy they both look, and they look amazing together. But I think her makeup is a little bit over the top, which is exactly the theme. So I totally understand.
So
but
she
it's
ticks the
quite,
box.
yeah, but
Even his shoes are like iced, completely iced.
No, that's lovely. And then I love the touch of pink on the pink carpets, and you know,
Okay. Oh, very good analysis, Ife. Well done. Elsie?
Nah, I love what he's wearing. Whitey does it for me, and
you're always
she's
all about
beautiful.
the man.
I'm like, she's not even saying anything about it.
Beautiful. Like, will I talk about the? I mean, he's married, really. We all know that, but yeah, they're.
But
cool.
Priyanka is married too now, but we still give her accolades.
Okay, guys. Elsie, you're done?
She said.
I'm riding on the back of what both of them said. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What am I going to say about Priyanka Chopra? Okay, I don't like that hair. I don't like the makeup. The dress, definitely.
You don't like natural, so it's understandable.
No, I think the hair could have been done better.
Thank you. And I'm also talking from the facts.
I get the look they're trying to get, but
yeah, because
the stylist didn't do
justice to it.
Because there's curls in it, or
no,
I mean, I'm an
just
African.
I think you would have wore that hair better if you did that style, but she didn't wear it well at all. Right. Let's quickly move on. We're discussing Ezra Miller next. Yes, Ezra Miller, actor, singer. Let's see, what did he wear?
Wow.
Ridiculous.
I love it.
Well, what came to mind? Bobrisky.
What came to mind? Joker.
But let's not even forget the confusing theme that he had on his face, because it was quite confusing for a lot of people. Look, the eyes and then the mask,
it's
part of...
It's not confusing if you take into account his character. This is someone that has been in the closet for a very long time. And then he finally broke out and he's acting and he's very queer. So that when I saw it as a statement, like I've had to have so many faces before I was able to be myself, whether or not we approve. I was able to be myself. And he's putting that into fashion. He's putting that into the queer exaggeration. I love it.
So you don't think he was confused by any chance before, while he was in the closet, or
I don't know. That's his personal life. I don't know.
Okay, so you just think that he's,
he's out now, and he's very clear about the fact that was a difficult. I mean, it would be difficult for anyone if you had to pretend to be somebody else.
So you think what he's done on his face is not to do about, the theme, is more to do about his personal... Okay, so he's following the theme.
So he's exaggerating his personality.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to clarify. It wasn't some deliberate attempt at some kind of argument.
Chokumbo, next?
Next, exactly.
Next.
We need to hear from Ife.
Ife don't talk about people like this. Do you?
No, he wants to say
something. Lucas, you guys know the song? Look at me now. Look at me now. Okay. I think that's just what he's doing. Like, okay, you guys look at me, I'm out of the closet, but big shout out to you, man.
I love
don't
the
like
hair.
it.
Elsie?
I don't like it.
Move on to Kumba.
All right, on that note, we're taking a quick break. When we come back, when we return, we'll be bringing you more on some of the worst and best dressed celebrities at the 2019 Met Gala. Stay here.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Madam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby. We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward. Wait, stop. You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down, keep walking to the left. Yes. You're almost here. Keep going. You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on, so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
Welcome back. You're watching Tea Time right here on Plus TV Africa. And if you're just joining us, we're discussing some of the best dressed and worst dressed stars at the recent Met Gala event that took place recently, 2019. And I think the next person that we have on the list, we're discussing Tracee Ellis Ross next. Yes. Why are you laughing? You like her outfit? Yeah. I don't get it, and I don't know how they're able to pull that
I'm sure
through.
Ife gets it.
Oh, okay. Maybe we should start with
so
that then.
for this one, I remember when I was reading the theme of the thing, they said you should be exaggerated, you should be classy, a lot of sequins and all that stuff. But they also mentioned to not overdo it and then be squishy. So I think this is a bit squishy. Like,
Why
so
would you think this is too much and not Billy? Like,
and not the other
you
guy.
see, for me, I see when I looked at other people's outfits, I saw creativity. I saw tailoring.
This is not creativity.
No, listen, let me finish. Like tailoring skills, a lot of darts, excesses, and all that stuff. It's hard to make. This is a simple black dress with a picture frame tilted to the side. What else?
Let me explain. Let me explain the angle I would come from if I was going to come to a defense. Now, you know Met Gala has a couple of rules. It's a no selfie zone. It's a no smoking zone. If you come with your spouse, they're going to make sure you guys sit apart. You know, they have a lot of rules. So I think she's just making her own selfie frame. Is there a problem with it? She's taking her selfie by herself.
You didn't ask the question.
And they don't take a phone.
Any problem? Or
any problem? As in, please. As in, me, well, if you are saying over the top, this was completely over the top.
I don't think this is over.
Okay.
I think it's a bit like.
Sorry, let me quickly come to Elsie.
Okay, so for this, I don't know. I wish we have a picture of her hands down. I mean, okay,
yeah, that's it, hands down.
It's beautiful.
Yes, do you like it, Elsie?
See, people are even coming to the frame to take pictures, you know, to get in the frame. Like.
It doesn't speak the theme for me.
Okay, guys. Okay, you know what?
I mean, if we've been going with exaggeration is the theme and all that, then cool. But aside that,
you don't like it. Okay, I'm giving it a thumbs down. And on that note, we're moving on to the next person. Cardi B is up next, and she did wear quite something quite.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking. Not a frame on your head. Now this is exactly.
Is what?
2,000 hours to make this.
2,000 hours to make.
You see that for me as a fashion whatever. That
okay, now both of you, let's see. I want to hear what Ife has to say, considering that.
No, it's
maybe
Cardi.
It's not,
she always kills it.
She always kills it. Yeah,
it's lovely.
If Ife, Lady Ife, if I was to ask you, you know, if there was a flaw with this dress, what would you say?
I would say the head thing.
The hair thing, you don't like that
I
too
wish
much.
if she put some hair to it,
to it a little bit.
Because now I've only seen her face, and I guess that's also the theme of the. Because it's a little it's vibing like a costume of an animal.
Okay.
Because the fur on the shoulders.
The feathers, you mean?
The feathers, sorry. And then the way there's layers in, it gives me a very like animal, like there's probably some inspiration from an animal. I'm not sure which one.
Which is more like a beautiful peacock. She's trying to look like that.
You think a peacock?
No,
I don't see a peacock.
Exactly.
It's probably a bird I don't know.
It's a bird, yeah.
Yeah.
And most of them had that thing where they came with a lot of feathers and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of feathers and a lot of sequins was very much there.
Guys, before we move on, the only issue I had with it is just my personal take before you bite my head off or chop my head off anyone.
I think it's a peacock. Look at all that
Peacock.
sequence.
If it just drop
the
it.
fact that it's not more.
I don't know why people are thinking animal, but the close shots make me think Teletubbies.
Teletubbies. Oh, okay. The only issue I had, the only issue I had is that I think a softer color would have been better. Red is just way too much.
That's
the dress is busy.
I
know.
love
That's
it.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's the only thing I find that it was just way too much. I know it's exaggeration.
Does it not? When I saw it, first thing I thought about was Rihanna's yellow outfit last year.
Yeah, a lot of people likened it. That's what she was doing.
I see that too. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Joe and Sophie Turner. I think there was some colorful stuff, black and some.
This is another appearance of a first marriage. They just got married, so first time appearing as a couple. I love that they were also a little bit in sync because of that. So that is really nice.
Okay, Ife?
Just there, 50.
Yeah, nothing exciting. Thumbs down. Thumbs
Not
up?
thumbs down, they're just average.
Just okay,
Average.
yeah.
Okay,
I think this
Elsie?
is something I would wear. Like, I'm not the exaggerating person, but I love to look good. So this looks really, and if you look close to the print, I mean, I can't see it, I've not touched it, but it feels like there's a bit of Ankara playing somewhere. Right, so I love
like
it.
that.
Okay, all right, moving on. We've got the next person, explosive dress, Lady Gaga, who knows how to do the red carpet every time she goes on there. So, but this time it was really dramatic because apparently she came in this humongous outfit with a huge train with 4 people, I think 4 men that were part of it, and then she kept removing each layer after layer. The second layer she did. Yeah, the second layer, after she removed this, she had like
a pink, then a black, then the lingerie.
It ended up last with the black.
So this was the second one with the umbrella, and then before she removed this to have a pink dress, and before she finally had her underwear. And
couldn't she have stopped at the pink dress?
You know Lady Gaga, she always goes the extra, and they've already
and then
said
she
this
was
is
part
extra.
of the host of
she's part
of the co-chair. She's on the Okay, all right. So guys, what say you? Yes, no, yay,
Already
nay?
the theme is exaggeration. So if I can relate or if I can wear your dress, then you're doing something wrong, right? It's something that's supposed to be extra. I would say that on top of the fact that she's also part of like the board or whatever, she really brought on stage what the theme was about.
Camp.
Obviously, the extraness of Lady Gaga away from the theme or whatever is the 4 outfits. I don't think that was
necessary.
100% necessary, but I mean, whatever rocks her boat.
All right, Ife, does that rock your boat?
No, because we know Lady Gaga, she always goes over the top, and being part of the anchors of the event, she had to like change. We see people doing normal award shows like the BET, like the Grammys, and they change into like 4 different outfits. But this was just one outfit that she kept taking off, and she had 4 different. So if we're talking about exaggeration, and if we liked all those other people like Billy Porter and the Nick,
you must like all of them today.
I'm telling you, then we should love this. I think Lady Gaga was the best dress as far as I'm concerned.
Wow.
Let's hear what Elsie has to say.
I've never been a fan of Lady Gaga's fashion.
So you don't like what she's...
I know that her brand, she's over the top, exaggeration is even her thing, aside the whole thing, you know, so...
I think she's been doing the thing all her life.
All right, guys, let's move on to let's move on to our next Katy Perry. I think she decided to shine the light this time around at the Met Gala because she came as a chandelier, and not just 1 but 2. Good heavens!
I wish she caught fire.
Oh, okay.
I think For me, when I look at people's outfits, I'm also looking at the character and their content. Lady Gaga, Katy Perry has always been the person in costumes, a square box, a thingy. If you're a fan of her, you know that she says her mind is in a fantasy. All her videos represent that. This is another thing for Katy Perry. So judging her, not my taste or whatever, judging her, I think she did a fantastic job.
So thumbs up for her?
Yes.
Okay, Ife, do you
Thumbs
think
up.
thumbs up? Yeah. What do you think about lights on
Thumbs
the way?
up.
Thumbs up. Okay, Elsie.
Exaggeration, thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay, let's move on.
Will you wear it?
Can I
Where
say
am I going to?
no? Well, I don't think these outfits are supposed to be worn any other day. The only thing I would say that maybe if I wanted to say something bad about it is that it doesn't seem very practical. Like how is she moving in it? I'm guessing when she sits down, she has to take off the one on the bottom or something.
I would
or
imagine.
sit
Or she
at the
probably
back.
just have to walk like this and like this.
So
And you know what?
that's the only thing I would say.
I think this outfit would be perfect for Nigeria since we always have power outage. So when PHCN takes the light, we'll be like, oh yeah.
We turn it up.
Where's my Katie? Where's my Katie
All
girl?
right, let's move on to Jared Leto. Yes,
This
Elsie's
one.
already.
This one.
A lot of ums and ahs.
It's scary but awesome.
I'm glad you used the word scary because one of the words that came to
Creepy.
me is ghoulish, which is creepy and reminds me of death because holding your, a replica of your face, it just grosses me out. I don't know if it grosses anyone else out,
So
but
this is
I kind of like it.
so
you
far.
like it?
Yeah.
Okay, Ife,
Weird enough.
before we come down to Lady Ife, what's your take? Scary, creepy.
Thinking of exaggeration to in mind.
Yes, bearing in mind the theme. We haven't got long, Ife. We've got a long while. Or should we come back to you? What? He shouldn't have attended. All right then, Ife, let's wrap
so
up
far,
with
this
you.
is something I don't like.
Okay.
I don't
Funny
like
enough,
it.
I thought for some reason you would educate us on.
Hold on. Do you love horror movies?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
I
okay.
do.
Maybe that's why.
Well, I think for the theme that's happening, I don't see any exaggeration. I don't see any fashion. If anything, I see a lot of ego, like another me. It's a bit much.
Yeah.
The outfit isn't appealing to my eyes. The color is a bit off. The drapey stuff on the side looks very grandma-ish, and the pearls dangling. I don't like this outfit.
That's a big thumbs down from you, my good heavens. Okay, all right, let's look at the Kardashian family. They're next in line, and then we'll look at a couple more before we wrap up on the show this morning. But the entire Kardashian clan, Jenner,
thumbs down.
I liked it because what she did was, the impression of water, which she captured.
The hair
is wet look. She did wet look hair, wet look dress.
What is she wearing hair that she has not worn before? Really?
No, you didn't see. You need to see.
I think with Kim, it's even more in the details than the look of it.
Look.
Maybe I do agree. Like it's not necessarily out of
Extra.
her comfort
This is
zone
Kim.
and very, very Kim, but
So
it's
people will be
still a very nice
disappointed.
outfit. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Kylie Kendall.
Loved.
Yeah, both of them in feathery stuff.
Loved it.
If you're not saying anything.
Because the Kardashians, you don't expect less from them. I loved.
But I was disappointed with Kris Jenner.
Oh yeah.
She came in blonde and then she wore these humongous
amazing.
shoulder
It
pads.
was very, very, very elegant and classy.
This.
Yes, it is very elegant
Okay.
and classy.
Difference of opinion.
Yeah.
Elsie, I'd like to hear your take on Kris.
I don't know where to stand.
Maybe
Maybe a different hairstyle would have killed it.
It's very
I just keep
classy.
thinking, is that a wig? Is that a wig? Is that a wig?
Is that a
Yeah.
I mean, it could be because I don't know if she will
I
change.
like it. I love it.
Okay.
I love it. I think she
All right.
look better than her daughters.
Okay. All right. And because of time, we're going to skip one or two of them. Let's quickly go on to Zendaya.
That is the queen of the day.
Oh, Elsie, you can't even wait to talk here.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's the Cinderella.
It's like Cinderella,
the belle of the ball.
Yes. Like the way she came in black, and then her stylist had to do the bow thing, and then she suddenly lit up, and she forgot her shoe on the.
That's Cinderella.
I mean, she did it all.
She
and
did the Cinderella stuff.
I know you're going to ask who is your best, so I'm giving you already.
Okay. All right. I would like to hear Ife what you have to say on this.
I love it as well. I think
Okay.
another thing, like I said, I look at the person themselves, is that she's so young and she has young audience, and I think she's doing real justice to her audience and stuff. It's pretty, it's decent, it's lovely, it's exaggerated. It's definitely camp.
Okay. All right. Let's look at Michael Urie next. I think that's the person we should look at next. I don't remember if he dressed well or if he dressed absolutely crazy, but I think it's one of the striking ones. Michael Uri. Before that loads up, we've still got a couple more that we need to analyze as well. Michael Uri, let's see if that comes up now so that we can actually discuss it in detail. Michael, oh, one of those crazy ones. Yeah, the half. Wow. I remember him now. The half. I think this was another Billy Porter kind of thing that he was trying to do. His masculine side, his feminine side, and then the way he interprets one side of his face is made up, one side not working for me. Thumbs down. I don't know who wants to go next.
I think my comment is going to be insensitive to the LGBT community, so let me just keep it to myself.
Right. Okay. Ife?
I played the fifth.
I mean, this is not a very brand new idea. There's a French artist, I don't remember his name now, but he does that all the time. Half face of a woman and a man. I think if you struggle with your identity, your body and stuff, this image right there means a lot to people. It speaks a lot. And then I mean, him personally, he's the kind of person that I've only, one of the few artists that I know that embrace both features of him, as in a man and a woman. And the man's side is handsome and the lady side is pretty, so I like it.
Okay, wow, some analysis right there.
Belong to their world.
Okay, let's move on now. I think we've got Michael B. Jordan next, and I remember him dressed in all black, but the way which he went extra was a bit of some shiny sequins towards the arms there. So but I think on the whole, I would say thumbs up in comparison to all the other men that we've seen. A thumbs up.
Yeah.
Well, I would put what's his name? Nick Jonas.
Okay.
Higher than him.
Oh, right, okay.
Because his white, his shoes, that was nice for me.
No, I love that white, but not close to this.
Well, for me, this is Bay right there. Yeah. So anything he wears is nice. I'm a bit biased to this, but I still think for the theme, you could have won this on another red carpet and it'd be okay. So if that's the case, then I don't think he's doing the camp thing just right.
Look,
we love you.
Michael B. Jordan is already exaggerating.
Yes.
His personality is exaggerated.
Don't try to be them.
So
what's exaggerated about his personality? I don't know.
Oh, Michael B. Jordan is a legend, man. Don't even try to bring that man down.
What do you mean?
Look,
like
I'm a big fan.
You have to Google him.
Of Michael
we love
B. Jordan.
him.
So
and that's the exaggeration we want.
And I love him too.
His personality is exaggerated. His person is exaggerated.
Please don't be
he
like
didn't have to go
Potter
over the top.
But the thing is
over the
to
top.
be over the top.
Yes, it didn't have to be over the top to be over the top.
Okay.
You get what I mean?
I don't know if we've got time for one more. I was thinking we could look at Janelle Monáe. I don't know. Do we have time for one more? Okay, so let's look at Janelle Monáe, and then that's it for the show. Janelle Monáe.
Yes,
wow.
this one.
Yeah, okay. One of the most striking outfits, I have to say, especially with the
typical Janelle.
What's her name? The hat as well. It's like 4-in-1, and then the pink. It's so striking. It's so bold. Thumbs up for me.
For me, it says what you're looking at.
Okay.
Yeah, so I love it.
This is a typical Janelle Monáe look, so I'm not surprised.
You're not impressed? Okay.
I'm not surprised. I'm not like I'm not impressed.
Are you impressed?
Yeah, it's okay.
He's not impressed.
Well, this is my personal favorite of the entire thing.
No, Lady Gaga.
Well, I said I did say
exactly.
it failed.
Yeah,
I said
I'm just saying.
It's funny that both of you have the same name. So
this is definitely mine. I think one thing I love about this is that the person that designed it is actually not a top
designer.
Yeah. If I can just get her name, Alexandra Mandek. Or something. I don't know how to say it properly. And it's just some girl on Instagram, and I think she did a fantastic job.
All right, thank you very much. We've got time for just one more, and it's Harry Styles. Yes, Harry's. Yeah, let's look at Harry. Oh, good heavens, I'm irritated already.
Why are we even putting this on the screen? Shouldn't this be offensive to the viewers?
It's best and worst dress that we're looking at. So
it's interesting you say that, because in the fashion world, Harry is in. The Gucci was part of the founders of this event, and we call him
Gucci.
We call him the Gucci. Yeah, we call him the Gucci boy. He dresses Gucci every day. So in the high class fashion, not that my opinion, high class fashion, this is like wow, whatever.
So was it supposed to be for a girl or a guy, really?
That's his extra. He does the extra thing that he's. That's his thing.
Really, really high pants. I mean, in the essay that you talked about in your intro about Songa's 1974, whatever, one of the things that she mentioned was extra high pants, extra feathers, extra sequins.
Yeah.
He's bringing that. I'm not saying I like it, but
thumbs down from me. So I don't know about you guys. Who's giving him a thumbs up?
would have even been disappointed.
Huh?
Sorry? What? We all missed that, Ife.
I said Anna Wintour would have been disappointed.
She would have been disappointed. Speaking about Anna Wintour, she didn't dress that well, but she was in a lot of feathers, but she didn't do anything exciting. Anyway, I think, guys, that's where we're going to wrap up on the program this morning. Don't forget that you can actually comment on Twitter using the hashtag #TeaTime. But before then, many thanks first and foremost to my colleagues on set, Elsie and both of the Ifes, Ife Oshinkeye and Ife Omai. The entire production team as well, I thank you all. To Kumbotai, we're saying thanks for watching. And from all of us here, have a good morning. We're back in the afternoon with the latest and the hottest entertainment stories. See ya.
On the show tonight, the Nigerian Army bans the use of motorcycles in Kano, Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, Kaduna, Kebbi, as well as Niger states. Also, Maitama Yusuf, member of the Board of Directors of the Nigerian Railway Corporation. Maitama Yusuf, who is 72, was accused of corruption by the Buhari military administration in the early 1980s, but he has been appointed once again as a board member of the Nigerian Railway Corporation. What changed? Well, this is Plus Politics, and I'm David Alapi. Now, banditry has become the bane of the North in the past month, causing the Nigerian Army to ban the use of motorcycles within the hinterland as well as the forest of 7 states. The acting director, Army Public Relations Colonel Seguro Moses said, and I quote, "The Army has over time observed the use of motorcycles by bandits, kidnappers, criminal elements, as well as their collaborators as enablers to perpetrate their crimes, especially in the states within the northwestern part of the country." Well, join me now in our Lagos studio. We have Daniel Odukwe to discuss much more on this matter. Hello, Daniel. Now, what do you make of this ban, really? Some have said, well, this is a step in the right direction because in trying to nip this menace, you have to look at the trail with which these bandits operate via motorcycles. That's how they transport. Others have also said that, well, this is just a simplistic approach to treating this issue. Where do you fall in this mix?
Indeed, I would say that it's a step in the right direction to ban the use of motorcycle. In fact, crime generally in Nigeria are being perpetrated, through the use of motorcycle. That's the case. That's the truth. However, what we need to do as a people is to stop the habits of treating, the symptom and leaving the ailment itself, unattended to. Okay, so mere banning motorcycles will not solve the problem. Okay, this is a deeply rooted problem. We've been crying, we've been shouting about the fact that, when people are not engaged productively, when your youths are not creatively engaged, you open them up to all manner of things, cultism, banditry, and what have you. So whilst it's a good thing that the use of motorcycles is being banned, at least to buy some time, for the security forces, and the police.
But do you think this is coming a little too late, this alternative?
In any event, something has to be done. I wouldn't say it's too late because the challenge is there. It's staring us in the face. So we need to take action. We need to be proactive about it. Yes, it's a little bit too late, but would you rather nothing is done about it? So if that will help the police, and the security forces in putting, bringing about some calm in the area, why not? But I'm just worried that we are leaving the real issues. We're not tackling the real issues. We're just treating the symptoms, and that will not take us far.
How then do you now say we should tackle this issue? Because if we've had calls from the residents of Zamfara, Katsina, and Kaduna states saying that this menace is going on far too long, innocent citizens are dying. they are overwhelmed with fear. To what extent now do you think we are supposed to be taking other steps in the right direction, looking at all the alternatives here?
Really, I think what we need to do as a people is to go back to the drawing board and, take a holistic approach to this issue. I mean, this brings to the fore again the issue of community policing. Okay, I mean, because when you have if you have community policing, you are able to build the community structure properly, that the police is part and parcel of the society. They are properly embedded. They know what's happening. They know who is who. Because the truth is that, I mean, everybody, we ought to be our neighbor's keeper. I mean, our brothers are our neighbor's keeper. So basically, if we can, right now what we have is not community policing.
Because we've also heard from the army as well that in certain instances, some of the residents or indigents have served as collaborators concerning the tracks of this bandit as well. What's your message to them?
I mean, at the end of the day, they are the one that will lose more. If you're a member of a community and you're collaborating with those who are, torturing you.
They are torn with fear as well and wouldn't want to step on those bandits' toes.
In a case where you have your police force, the Commissioner of Police for the state being handpicked, being nominated and then sent to the states, the people, there is no real connection with the people. All right, I'm not saying that the arguments against state police, for example, I mean, are not valid. Some of the arguments are valid. However, we just, as a people, we need to look for a solution that will work. We need to find a way to truly collaborate. I mean, you cannot just leave societies, starting from the family units and then down to the community. You can't just leave people to just do what they want. When people are not properly engaged, these are the sort of issues that you will have. So
have you been to the north before?
Yes, I have.
Now, I'm sure you know one of the means of, the major means of transportation, not necessarily one of, the major means of transportation is via motorbikes. Now, to what extent do you think this would also cause inconveniences, and how are we supposed to manage this now, knowing that the hinterlands are still part of the communities of the people?
We don't even need to go as far as the north. Any part of Nigeria, apart from the major cities, the Abuja, in fact, even the major cities, motorcycle is still highly dependent on. So I think the issues are the same, really. And again, that is another sign of we trying to treat the symptom. Because, I mean, using motorcycle as a means of transport is not sustainable. I'm not saying we are right for that yet, because there are challenges.
But in the interim, in the now, what other options do you think we have?
I mean, for the sake of security, I think it is a step in the right direction that this step is taken. But the argument I was even expecting to hear more from people really is that, how about people whose means of livelihood is dependent on the use of motorcycle and the rest? Well, unfortunately, the same motorcycle is being used for crime. And when you look at the priority, in my opinion, I think security is more pertinent, in my opinion.
Okay, and talking about the operations of the army now, the Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai last Friday also spoke about the reorganization of the exercise of having Kunama 3 to tackle banditry. And in their response, they say, well, the army is faring pretty much fine with superior firearms. But when you overpower these bandits within, let's take for example Zamfara, Katsina or Kaduna State, it means they have to run to neighboring towns as well. What do you also expect of the army and our security apparatus, especially utilizing intelligence this time around and ensuring that we nip these menace in the bud and don't give room for them to also thrive in other areas, not necessarily defeating technically, because we've heard the army say Boko Haram was defeated technically and they came back, and we wouldn't want the bandits pushed back and come back reinforced.
Really, what we're doing right now is what is popularly known as fire brigade approach. Something has gotten to the the very peak, and we're like, okay, what can we do quickly to address it? Unfortunately, this is a telling sign for us. This is a warning for us to take a more serious approach, a more proactive approach to these issues. Like you rightly said, you're pushing them out of Zamfara, and what happens to the neighboring states? Because these are, whether we like them or not, maybe they're Nigerian. Most of them are Nigerians. Okay, so they live where you're focusing on, and then they go to neighboring states, they gather enough momentum, and they attack the neighboring states. What do you do? So I believe that while we are doing that, while we are trying to ensure that we bring some level of stability to Zamfara state, that we look at it more holistically as well. Bring back this issue. Let's discuss this more holistic issue of community policing. How do we ensure that, or how do we engage people more closely, the community leaders, the elders in society, at the very basic level?
not just in Zamfara, but in every nook and kind of the northeast, of the north generally, of Nigeria. I think what we need to do is to use this as a springboard, as a, as a sign, as a warning for us to do the right thing. In going back to the drawing board, looking at the issue of security in our nation more deeply, and then coming up with a solution that will be community-based. I think that's the way forward for us, if you ask me.
And do you think that approach will necessarily give us a step ahead of these bandits as well? Because they virtually know, as we are planning right now, as the army says they are intensifying efforts, as the police say they are also doing X, Y, Z, banning the use of motorcycles. These information are out there as well. So they are also having their own counter motives and strategies in place. So now, to what extent do you expect us to utilize intelligence? Once again, I go back to this because, for example, the secret tape conversation that was sent to the Emir of Zamfara State, saying that any redeployment or any new strategies to deal with these bandits will cause much more crisis, which means they are saying that they are going to come back and terrorize the communities even stronger. What level of investigation engagement do you now expect between the security apparatus and ensuring that they find these bandits? Make arrests, we have investigations done, make arrests, at least if there is one, then you can be able to pick the bigger picture and then pin everyone involved in all of this.
Unfortunately, you cannot even make arrests if you don't know these people, if you don't get the cooperation.
That's why investigation into the state is necessary.
The issue of cooperating, getting the support of people, getting your people on your side, getting people on your side, on the side of the security forces is very vital. It's paramount. You need without them, you don't even know this terrain properly. They know this terrain. They interact with some of these people. Some of these people, they know them. All right. So I still think that we need to get the people more involved. We need to enlighten them more. Say this is how we can. It's only when we work together that we can win this war against insecurity. Really. So I think we still need to get the people on our side. All right. So if we just say, because like you rightly said, what we should be looking at is to get to the point that we have a lasting solution. All right. And that is not possible if we are only focusing on, treating the symptom, which is also we just want to bring about.
Do you think redeployment of security chiefs would do any help to us right now?
Maybe not. All right, because except maybe you mean security forces. When you say security chiefs, I assume those are the people who make the decision, right? I mean, for those ones, I'm not sure to what extent that will really solve the problem. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But what we basically need to do is to engage the people more at the community level, because this is not the first time we were saying that the security chiefs should be reshuffled or what have you. And how far has that gotten us? And again, looking at the response or the feedback from the perpetrators, one question we need to ask ourselves is really, what is the motive of these people? What do they want? With Boko Haram, at least we have an idea of what they want. With the Elders farmer crisis, we have an idea of what's causing it. With this banditry, I've heard all sorts of versions. We don't even know exactly what they want. So I would expect, for example, that our security forces will sit down and analyze it more properly, find out what their interest is, what do they really want. Of course, I'm not saying that they should negotiate with them, not at all, far from it. But I'm just saying we need to understand them. You cannot fight an enemy whose motive you do not understand. Okay, so we need to look at that. And one stakeholder that will help us in achieving this are the people. We need to connect with that people.
And what about the disposition of the president? Because while he was away, some of these attacks were also perpetrated, and people have said, how dare the president be away when even Daura is in trouble?
When he was around, I'm not sure. We didn't really feel his impact when he was around anyway. I mean, let's be factual. Even when he was around, what difference did he really make? I mean, I think he has even improved in this second term. Well, second has not even started, although he has gotten the mandate anyway. But this is the same president that that there'll be killings and what have you, and for hours, for days, you not even hear any reaction from the president. I don't think it makes any difference whether he's around or he's not.
But do you think within this second term in this office as president, do you anticipate any change in his reaction, in his body language, and show a little bit much more concern? Because some have said With all of these figures that we've had, 50 people killed in Kukele village in Guzol, 20 lives lost, 30 lost in Maru local government area, and much more, some still feel that there is a disconnect between the president's disposition, mannerism to the security menace and their reality.
It has never been the strong point of the president,
It has always been his strong point because his three pillars are fighting insurgency, dealing with ensuring that we reject the economy and fight corruption, don't you say?
That's propaganda. That's political propaganda. That was what he campaigned on. In terms of results, it has never been a strong point. Going by this first time that it's about to end, even though he campaigned on those promises, how are we doing in terms of our economy? Has the security situation gotten better? So it's one thing to campaign on something, use propaganda, what have you. It's another thing to deliver in terms of results, in terms of the parameters you use to measure results. In my honest opinion, he has not done really well. And his body language has been particularly poor. So that's why I said it has never really been a strong point in terms of. So that's why I said, I really do not see any difference he would have made if he's around anyway. If he were to be around anyway, because obviously he has his handlers, tell him what to do and all of that. But even at that, in the past few months, past few weeks, in my opinion, what I've been observing is a little bit better than what we used to have, in the early days of his time. He looked clueless as to what to do, how to react to some of these situations. So I hope that, hopefully things will get better.
Okay, so now still going back to the success of exercise Harbin Kunama 3, and the army has been able to overpower some of the bandits and their strong points. But now, moving forward as well, how much of an investment should we also be making as a country in ensuring that the army still remains with the upper hand when it comes to firearms to fighting this bandits? Because we've seen certain situations where Boko Haram had the better part of us. We've had our military bases attacked and we couldn't even fight back because of not having enough of ammunition or resources. So this time around, how much of an investment do you expect we should have?
Yeah, I'm not even sure it's so much of a question of investment as much as it's a question of management, eliminating corruption. Ironically, this administration has, made so much noise about fighting corruption and what have you, but, there have been times that we were told that some money was going to be released to the army to buy ammunition. We couldn't even follow through. We didn't know how exactly those monies were utilized and what have you. So I think it's a question of truly fighting corruption and ensuring that there's proper management of resources. Obviously, in every part of the world, every responsible government will invest more in security. So based on our budgets over the past few years, the amount that we say we're going to spend on security, how much we're really, utilized for security? These are the real questions. I think it bothers more management, on ensuring that, you remove every sabotage, every, wastage, every corrupt practice in the system, So in all sincerity, we can do better in terms of our investment in security, but the little that we are spending on it, how much are they truly appropriated, for that purpose? Can we conveniently say that there's no sabotage, there's no corrupt, that nothing is being, cornered in the process? Can we conveniently say that? I'm not sure we can conveniently say that.
Okay, now as we're wrapping up conversations now, this fight is not just for the people alone, as you've rightly mentioned, the need for community policing, and it isn't just the army alone. Now we have to look at the involvement of the Nigeria Air Force, talking about aerial surveillance. We also have to look at the police as well. Now, to what extent do you think these bodies will be able to push a much more unified front in dealing with this menace once and for all? For example, taking the success that the exercise Harbin Kunama has been able to get in Zamfara State and replicating all of these across the other 7 states of the Federation, talking about Kebbi, Niger, Kaduna, and the likes.
One way I think we can achieve a lasting success is to stop this approach of reactionary, something goes wrong and then they come together.
But now the ball is in the court of the security operatives. To what extent do you expect an engagement here?
Absolutely, it's what they do. I wouldn't expect that there'll be so much bottlenecks in that regard. collectively they form the security forces of the Federation. You know, I'm not sure. I think if anybody should, you know, work together harmoniously and, you know, synergize properly, it should be the security forces. You know, interestingly, we've not been engaged in fighting. I wouldn't want to use the word external aggression because, in a sense, Boko Haram is external aggression anyway. But we've not been engaged so much apart from peacekeeping operations. We're not engaged in fighting, you know, like other, you know, part of the world. What you find in the part of the world. So if this is the challenge that's before them, I would expect that they work harmoniously together. That they have no problem in cooperating and synergizing.
And what's also your response to this situation where we've had reports that some have this opinion that the army is quick to celebrate their successes, and when we have issues of casualties or they are being overpowered, we have this wave of silence, or they don't necessarily talk as much about it. Do you think that's also propaganda in their own side, and how, to what extent, not putting out information give them speculation?
Indeed, it's propaganda, you know, but I guess they are human after all. You know, when they achieve a little success, they want to blow it out of proportion. It's a human trait. When they fail or when they do not do so well,
we were looking at the 50, 30, 20 people killed here and there in different local government areas, we didn't hear much.
I mean, that's the same thing they do over and over again. They play it down because it's a minus if they're not able to do their duty properly, and we record cases of, you know, deaths and what have you. You know, unfortunately, it will not benefit us as a people if we keep trying to, you know, minimize, you know, try to mine the information and then keep it from the press, because we're all in this together. If there's insecurity in any part of the nation, we are all involved, because if it's not properly managed, if care is not taken to go around, so we all need to be. So I think they're humans after all. You know, they are brothers, they are friends, they are relatives, they are people anyway. So yeah. So I think it's just a case of somebody trying to, you know, harp more on the successes and play down the failures. However, I think thank God for the media, like you know, like you guys, you know, always asking questions, because we need to understand what we are dealing with for us to be able to come up with, you know, a proper solution. Because you cannot keep hiding. You know, you don't want to die in the silence. You don't want to, you know, because if you don't know what's happening, how do we then solve it? So, you know, so I expect that the media will continue to put pressure on them to show that the proper balance will be maintained. But I think it's a little bit understandable that they're a little bit careful, or they're trying to, you know, manage the failures and, you know, not.
And do you think imposing curfews would help?
Absolutely. Whatever needs to be done should be done. Imposing curfew will definitely help in those troubled regions. I mean, just like banning, you know, motorcycles, you know, it's not convenient. It's not convenient for anybody. But when there's and again, that's a price that the people will pay if they're not enlightened on the need to cooperate fully. If they keep, you know, indulging or you know, so to speak, cooperating with the bandits, you know. Because on the long run, it is their state that will suffer. The economic activities will be totally paralyzed, you know. So maybe if the people are reminded of that, to help them. Again, you can't blame them. Sometimes it's difficult. There's all kinds of corruption in the system. You don't even know who to trust and all of that. So I think we need to put our house in order to start with, and then we need to enlighten the people more on the need to cooperate with the security forces. I think that way.
Like in situations where we have state of emergencies, we can only beg and appeal to the residents over there to just cooperate. Absolutely. While this inconveniences continue. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Daniel Odukwe. Thank you very much. When we come back after the short break, we'll also be looking at other sides to this coin. Thank you very much for still staying with us in Plus Politics tonight. Now we're bringing you the other side of the coin, one of the biggest stories today. Now, Maitama Yusuf Bello was accused of corruption by the Buhari military administration in the early 1980s. He went to exile to avoid prosecution, and in 1979 he served the administration of Shehu Shagari as Minister for Internal Affairs and later as the Minister of Commerce. In 1982, Mr. Yusuf and late Umaru Diko, then Minister of Transport, topped the list of fugitives wanted by the Buhari military administration for alleged corruption. Now in 2019, he has been appointed to the Railway Board. What has changed once again? I still have with me in our Lagos studio Daniel Odupe, a legal practitioner. Really, what has changed? Because some have argued that this is life repeating itself again. We have the same situations and expecting a different response. And people can't necessarily seem to understand how does somebody who topped a list of corrupt, wanted individuals during the Buhari administration under the military and now gets an appointment by the same president whose mantra has been fight corruption. How do we marry these two realities?
Simple. You joined the right caucus. You joined the right team. That's what basically happened, you know. Obviously he was not on the right team at that point in time, and now he's on the right team. It's unfortunate. I guess that explains why we are where we are today as a people, really, because when you keep, paying people back, you keep, giving them, paying them back for their, quality results in terms of politics, in terms of delivering, your political money or what have you, and then you pay them back by giving them appointment, such as sensitive, important appointment as being on the board of the railway. It explains why the railway itself is in comatose. So it's just unfortunate, really, as a people. And I think these are the kind of things that we need to avoid if we want to move forward as a nation. People should not be, compensated, is the word. People should not be compensated, by sensitive political appointments. Sensitive, appointments. Just because they did well for you in terms of delivering or helping you to get back.
Well, according to the Jigawa State Governor, what he said is that this appointment is in recognition of hard work and resilience, really.
That's not how to pay back hard work and resilience. When somebody help you, politically to get
the party and the entire Nigeria as well.
Because we should understand that when election is done, that is done with. When it comes to the business of governance, you need people. Like a question that our current vice president, asks again and again. You always say that if you want to, if your son, is critically ill and he needs medical attention, you would not ask for a medical practitioner who's from your state or who holds your favor or what have you. You ask for the best. If we truly want to move Nigeria forward, when it comes to appointing people to such technical, positions, we need to ask for who can do the job. We need to stop paying people. We need to stop compensating people with such such very important positions. That's why we're where we are today. We need to learn to differentiate politics from governance, proper governance. We need to just learn to do that.
Well, the Board of Directors of the Nigeria Railway Corporation was inaugurated on Thursday by the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, who also charged members to ensure that there is speed work done on ongoing projects on our railways. But now, some have said this culture of impunity seems to continue to run deep in our country. And we see it clearly, and seemingly nothing has been done. For example, now some have likened this situation to the secret reinstatement of Maina into the civil service. Some have also said, what happened to the prosecution that Bello is expected to face?
The question is, what can we do? Really, what can we do about it? Interestingly, the average Nigerian is too busy trying to meet ends meet that he forgets that all of these things are interconnected. They will all come back to bite us as people. When people are being compensated, when you use important offices that will affect our means of livelihood. Imagine that our railways are functioning in Nigeria, for example, today. You know, imagine, just imagine, you know. So things like this, appointment of minor, you know, all of those things, you know, they just, obviously the ruling class does not care. They do not care. It's about, you rub my back, you scratch my back, I catch your back. You know, it's just what it has been the mantra.
What do you think will play out with the composition of the new cabinet of President Muhammadu Buhari?
Same thing as always, compensating all the gladiators, you know, all those who have, you know, paid their dues. That's why you see, I mean, if you
in his response, it says any minister or any individual or member within his team that does not deliver would not make it to the list.
So what does delivering means? Which I'm not sure any of them has delivered, you know. I'm not sure you can name any standout member of the cabinet, of the outgoing cabinet.
Some are expecting that the Minister of Power, Works and Housing will still retain his seat. Some are saying Minister of Transportation, Minister of Information and Culture, just to name a few.
Can we say they've delivered?
There are still speculations.
Can we say they've delivered? I think that's a bigger question. Are there people who can do a better job? You know, Umar Musa Yar'Adua of blessed memory, you know, when I was one of those who supported the move for a government of national unity, because if anything, it allows you to go across board and get people who can deliver, you know. So unfortunately, obviously, we're not going to have that. So are there people who can deliver who are in the opposition? This is the business of government. This is about our nation. We need to learn to put those sentiments. Unfortunately, we just don't know how to do that in this part of the world. You know, it's just unfortunate. But when it comes to the business of governance, you know, we need to look for the very best, those who can deliver. In terms of, use any parameter. Can we say any member of the outgoing, ministers have really performed exceptionally well? You know, I mean, using even the most modest standards. Can we say that truly?
Well, that's your opinion. But now let's talk about party politics. Some would say shrouding reasoning. Really, you made mention of putting round pegs and round holes. But to what extent does this party politics affect our reasoning as a nation, where we are talking about having developmental agenda be the forefront of every single discussion? How does this affect us? And what's the way forward?
Party politics is the starting point, really. And I'm not sure it's anything more than that. You know, it's the starting point, you know, is the means through which you gain access to power. But in my opinion, I think when, you know, the rubber hits the road, when we get down to business, I think as much as possible it should be downplayed, in my opinion, in the interest of the society at large, of the nation at large, of the greater good. I think less emphasis should be placed on it. You know, if you ask me, I think what we should focus on is who has the, depending on what portfolio you are filling, who has the technical expertise to fit what position. People will say, oh, we have abundance of, you know, of experts, people who can do a good job, you know. But the truth is, based on what we have seen, you know, some have performed modestly, but we know that there are people, men and women of integrity, who can do far better than those who are currently there. So I think as much as possible, we need to de-emphasize party politics when it comes to the proper business of governance. You know, I know that it's very difficult for us to do that in part of the world because, you know, people have worked, labor, you know, sweat and blood, and, you know, and helping you to get to power and all of that. And so it's an opportunity to pay them back. But at the end of the day, it's about the nation. It's about good governance. It's about delivering. Sometimes even in the interest of whoever is at the aim of affairs to get the best persons, you know. And you know, and that's why we keep saying that politics should not be a do-or-die affair. That we need to play it down. We need to make sure that it is not as lucrative and as attractive as it is currently in terms of all those positions. Maybe that will allow only people who truly want to serve to aspire. But now people pay all kinds of price, you know, to be loyal to their party, knowing fully well that when the time comes that they'll be compensated. Okay, so maybe if we play it down a little bit, maybe if we de-emphasize, you know, if we make those positions less lucrative, maybe to allow the people who really want to serve, because the truth is that there are people who want to serve, who truly want to serve, you know, who might not be that loyal in terms of party politics, you know, to go all out and do whatever it takes to.
Do you think President Muhammadu Buhari is selective in his fight against corruption? Because if this was one of the individuals that topped the list of most corrupt individuals and wanted under the Muhammadu Buhari administration within the military, and now we are having the same administration, but this time in a democratic dispensation, how is this selective in your opinion?
in my opinion, it's not so much about my opinion. It's more about the opinion of majority of Nigerians. You know, I mean, most people out there will tell you that, look, what we have been experiencing in the past 4 years has been selective, selective justice, so to speak. And you really can't blame them, you know, going by the facts. You know, you've given the example of Mena. This is the new one. And even the people in the opposition, people who do worse, who are on the right team, who are on the side of the ruling party, you know, there's just this lackadaisical attitude in terms of bringing them to book. And I've heard, you know, my friends in the ruling party, you know, come up with all kinds of arguments, say that, you know, this is politics. What do you expect? That, you know, you don't expect me to go, if I fight my people, who will protect me when the opposition comes and all that. But again, I say, look, you cannot use double standard. If you say that, that means you're saying that when the other party gets to power, they should do exactly the same thing. And we'll continue this vicious cycle. So unfortunately, it won't get us far. I think what we need to focus on is building institution. Once you get to that house, once you get to that place, regardless of the party you belong to, people need to learn to put the interests of the nation first. And that's the only way.
Talking about building institutions now, in the last 4 years, do you think justice has also been served all through, especially looking at corruption cases as well? Do you think we've had enough examples to believe in the mantra of the president that he's here to fight corruption?
Indeed. For anyone who is under any kind of prosecution for corrupt enrichment or what have you, it's because there's a basis, you know, for such to happen. If you're truly clean, I'm not sure why we say that there's some kind of witch hunts and what have you. Why we say that, you know, people who ought to be brought to book have not been brought to book. The truth is that those who are currently being prosecuted cannot come and say that, you know, they are innocent. What we are only clamoring is that do not overlook other people because they are in your camp. Okay, so let's get that straight. Let's agree on that. If you are being prosecuted, it's because there's a basis for it. It's because you're guilty. What well-meaning Nigerians are only saying is that, look, whilst you're doing that, ensure that those who are also in your camp, who have any reason to believe that they have shady, you know, affairs and shady deals, also bring them to justice. So yes, to that extent, maybe the administration is in the right direction. All those who have been prosecuted, it's a good thing. We shouldn't say, oh, because you're not prosecuting your own people, so therefore let those other people go. No, the starting point, it has to start from somewhere. So it's okay if you start from the opposition. It's fine if you are prosecuting those ones more. However, for the sake of transparency, so that justice will not only be done, but it seems to have been done, ensure that there are no sacred fowls, okay? That there are no electric fishes, all right? Ensure that the people, even on your own side, who ought to be brought to book, are brought to book. And that way, the average Nigerian will have trust in the system. And then our institutions will become stronger. And then we'll be on the right track. So, yes, rather than have nothing, I'd rather have that the administration continues to prosecute those who have been found, even though they're in the opposition. That's fine.
Do you think we'll have a reaction from Mr. President anytime soon based on this appointment? Any reaction, given an explanation?
Hopefully. We've been getting hints as to what the new cabinet will look like. And then in the first 4 years, I believe that this issue of corruption and selective fights against corruption has been on the front burner. I expect that whether we like it or not, even though it seems slow and all of that, but ultimately he listens, you know, ultimately the feelers are getting to him. So we expect some level of reaction.
Okay, given the opportunity now for Bello Maitama Yusuf to serve on the board of directors now of Nigeria Railway Corporation, what are your expectations of him in delivering this time around? Away from sentiments now, he's been appointed. What do you expect?
My expectations are really low. Going